out there working hard while listening to this show. It's not lost on me. Appreciate that. Hope I provide some information and a needed distraction and a laugh or two. And we always appreciate you. I run into a lot of people these days who bring that up, which is really, really cool. And then also, if you're watching on Warchant TV, hello. Good to have you along. Appreciate you. Perhaps you're in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat. Hello to you two. And you two, like there's two people. Thousands of people in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat. Hello to you all, if we're doing it in the South, as well. We appreciate it. Tommy, hello to you. How are you, brother?
Howdy, partner. I'm doing well, man. I'm enjoying. We're getting there. These newcomer interviews were a nice little morsel about flipping the page from what was an awesome baseball run to a decent run in recruiting, had a blip on the radar, but mostly good stuff, to now, all right. We got the ACC kickoff in about a week and a half. We've got camp in about 2 weeks, and we get to see some of these new players, meet these new players today, two of which should contribute fairly early in their careers at Florida State, which is fun. Very good.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm very aware of how easy it is when you're starving to think that a cracker is the greatest thing you've ever eaten. So when you're starving for football to be underway, to begin, to provide for you the substance that you need on a day-to-day basis, and you get a new player interview, you might overreact by saying, wow, I'm more than impressed. I'm elated to have these young men on board. You might overstate it, but I have to be honest with you. I 100% agree. Those young men were impressive, all of them. I really came away from all of it, whether it was Rizzy or Knight or Moore or Danzy, I loved it. I loved all of them. I felt like all of them were going to be important to this team in the very near future, if not, in some cases, immediately. So, all right. You got me. You won me over. It's like I admit to being a sucker during list season. I'll click on your list, no matter how chiding and nonsensical it might be. You got me. Oh, God, click on it. Who's the 17th best wide receiver in Big 12 history? Well, let's find out. It's ridiculous. I do it all the time. But I was right there with you today. It was kind of a reminder just because of the format and the way that it's set up of how close we are to be standing there across from these athletes after they practice and in gleaning information and gaining context to bring to the airwaves, which is always helpful because, that's our job to relay that stuff to you guys, but it also gives you something of note to comment on and maybe frame in a way that allows for it to be relatable to others. I'm excited about the year, obviously. I'm also excited about a lot of these guys. You know, Tom and I talked off the air earlier this morning after these interviews wrapped, and I think it's a fair observation. I think it's probably one that a lot of you have made as well. And I don't want to overstate it because it's the kind of thing that you fall back on when you're not playing well. And the reality is Florida State has played really well and has lofty expectations and is a team that we think can back up its conference championship from a year ago and win it again. That would put you in the playoffs automatically. It would give you a bye, in fact. So needless to say, we think very highly of the talent of this football team. But in addition to turning the fortunes on the field around, they have found a way, somehow, some way, to do this with a roster that is routinely, eminently likable. It seems to me like every time we get to hear from a lot of these players, you end up walking away impressed. And listen, let's just be real about this. I've covered this program in particular, but college football for nearly 28 years. It's not always true. I mean, it's just like life. It's just like the workplace. If you work in a big office, say you have 150 to 200 employees or something like that, you're not going to like everybody. You're routinely going to meet somebody in that office that might be good at their job, but that you just kind of loathe. You just don't jive with their worldview and the way that they comport themselves. So it's not any different in a football locker room or a baseball locker room or a basketball locker room, whatever it might be. If you gather a bunch of people from all kinds of regions and disparate places, you'll find that you like some, not others. But I don't know how they've done it, Tom. They continue to bring in guys that you hope are going to be really good players, first and foremost, and you kind of gauge that based on their huddle film and what you've seen from them in high school, and then later when they come out and take the practice field. But almost every chance they get to put a new player out there in front of a camera with a mic, you come away really impressed. I know all of the last 2 years when we're interviewing guys, it's not every guy, but it's almost every guy that we've said, these are good dudes. These guys are, I'm going to root for them anyhow. I want Florida State to kick ass. I'm a Nole. I want them to dominate. Listen, you could roll out 11 criminals and I'll tell you well, you got to overlook some things. We're trying to win some games around here, guys. I mean, I'm that kind of ridiculous. That's the maniacal fan in me. But it's a lot easier when that's not the case. And it couldn't be further from that. It is a bunch of really good dudes. So maybe that answers the question how it is that Mike Norvell's locker room continues to be intact, continues to be integrity laden, continues to be one that doesn't seem to have a lot of problems in an NIL era where those problems can be easily found with incoming players, sometimes receiving more than existing players on the roster, guys coming in from other programs with a different way of doing things, guys coming in with huge egos. Maybe they're already accomplished. It wasn't like Keon Coleman was humble, and I don't mean that as a knock. The guy's a stud, and he knew it. And yet he really worked within this locker room and that segment group seamlessly, actually instantly became a leader. They do a very, very good job. We talk about a lot of the times that we've noticed they do a good job of a player evaluation, but it seems to me that that's a complete evaluation. That's not he runs fast, he lifts a lot of weight, and he jumps high. That's he does those things, and oh, by the way, I think he fits in this locker room.
Yeah, this is where a lot of people don't pay attention to recruiting anymore in the era of the NIL, because that can change anything at a given moment, with the transfer portal being what it is, NIL being the thing that speaks the loudest for a lot of kids. So I think people have cooled on recruiting coverage to a degree, and that's not just at Florida State in general. But I've kind of taken more to recruiting coverage because of this evaluation that you're speaking of. There are kids that don't come to Florida State that I now know that I root for because they interviewed just like this. And they were here for an official visit as a junior, or they were here for an official visit as a senior. It came down to a couple of places. They went to the hometown school. As long as it's not conflicting with Florida State's interest, if that kid succeeds, I've seen a couple of examples of it. I go, well, I hope that kid does well, because the interviews give you an insight into how they're molded and how they fit into the culture. And chances are, if we're conducting an interview as a staff, if Michael, Matt, Ben Spicer are out there during official visit weekends and they're holding the camera up, and you have an OV from a linebacker or a receiver, an offensive lineman, doesn't matter what position, they sound like the four players who spoke today sound, which is they're well-adjusted. They come from a background where whoever raised them is doing an excellent job. They see the big picture. They understand that work is the thing that will define their success and define what type of return there will be on their talent when they're in Tallahassee, because the battle's end's important. But it's the norm now. So even for me, when you get a junior day or an official visit weekend like they had 3 of last month, most of those interviews sound like that. And it's a joy. It reminds you that even though Florida State is going to a place where they're bringing in higher caliber 4 stars and 5 stars and more talented players, and to decide between a top 4, and Florida State's now part of those top 4s and top 3s, they're finding the right kinds of 4 stars and 5 stars. Kids that can fit within what they're trying to build. They're not trying to cut a corner because a kid can run a 4.2. And I think that's great. I was wondering if that was possible when we were coming from, a 4-win team or 0-4 to 10-3. I didn't know if you could take that next step without maybe taking some risks. And that's just not the case. Florida State's continuing to bring in awesome kids.
Yeah, they are. And I want to celebrate that and hope that it continues. I do think, and I've always agreed with certain risk factors when assessing and evaluating your roster and talent. It goes on at every level in any job place, by the way, not unique to sports. I know a lot of fans like to think that, but it's not. The more talented you are, typically, in whatever it is you do, whatever your vocation, the more leeway you get from management, right? That's the way it works. Coaches are no different. You run a 4.2 and you're a star wide receiver. You're a little late to a meeting. You might not be kicked off the team. You're a walk-on? You might. So it changes some things. I wonder if we're talking about this in the same way in the next 2 years, if they come up short of any of their goals or perceived goals. Like this has been awesome in the turnaround. And I'm not saying they'll have to do this. It's not a prerequisite that you go out and get a bad character kid who happens to be an elite athlete because you're not quite getting over the hump. But sometimes coaches are a little bit more amenable to something like that when they are up against it. This is not a program lately that's been up against it because in many ways you could describe them as overachieving in the last couple of seasons. Now, this is the intriguing part of the upcoming year in my mind. As they continue to grow and expectations grow with them, this changes the way seasons are viewed. And the outcomes of games now become more of a referendum than they had been in the past. And does that change your mindset in recruiting where you find a guy that could put you over the top and maybe doesn't fit your culture and you're willing to take a chance on it because you believe that culture is established already and that the locker room will get a player like that in line? I think that that's entirely possible. We'll wait and see. I don't know. Maybe they're able to win and do it the right way across the board. It's just that I know that changes your mindset when the expectations change if you don't meet them.
Agreed. Well, I think you have to establish a culture to have everybody fall in line, and if they don't, they can leave. And that would include somebody who's a stud. Like, I believe the NFL is a little bit of a different animal, albeit, but the Antonio Brown move, for example, for Tampa, when they won the Super Bowl in 2020, they knew the locker room could handle that because, a certain quarterback, Hall of Famer, the best who ever did it, had set in whatever the expectation was going to be, whatever the standard was going to be. And so they could absorb that, handle it, and coexist and make it all work. You will have to make decisions like that at times if there's a difference maker who is a shoo-in to be a finalist for an individual award. But I'm telling you, I don't know that it's totally necessary because I believe Elijah Moore is going to be badass as a player at Florida State. I know a guy like A.Z. Thomas is. I think Lucas Simmons has a chance, Andre Otto, to be a really big-time impact player, not just on the all-conference level, but maybe more. And those kids fit right into the culture. You could go down Cam Davis, and that's a kid who was one of the bell cows of the class who was a quarterback in high school, but now is one of your bruising running backs. You could go position by position here and break out who the best interviews are and who the best guys who seem like they fit at Florida State are. And they're not 3 stars. You know what I mean? They're not 3 stars who are going to be glue guys. They could be the front men of the individual high school classes that Florida State is bringing in. So they're fine. Like, if we get Josh Petty on the offensive line this year, that's another dude who's going to sound just like Elijah Moore did today, just like Ricky Knight did, talking about a relative of his or Rizzy. Like, man, they're finding dudes who can really play that sound and look just like Mike Norvell wants them to sound and look. Bought in, invested, caring about the work and the details.
We're going to hear from Elijah Moore and some other players this hour. We'll get some of that audio out there to you so that you'll have a reference point to what we're talking about. It is just a good day when you hear from the newcomers, a reminder of how close we actually are to playing college football again. It is rather remarkable to realize how close we are to all of the things that come with college football. For example, yesterday, the Big 12 and Mike Gundy. My man has never been more secure. Has there been a coach in a long time as secure in his job status as Mike Gundy? Like, that's the only way you could ever imagine a coach would be so tone deaf and silly to have said what he said publicly yesterday, right? Is that he knows nothing's going to happen to him. You do realize Mike Gundy has been at Oklahoma State either as a player, assistant coach, or head coach for 33 of the last 38 seasons in Oklahoma State football. So he's not going anywhere, even if he's like, hey, listen, I think everybody should drink and drive nightly. Like, he could say that and they would not fire him because he's one and he's one of theirs. It's amazing you don't have a handler in those moments for somebody like Gundy to give him a sign. And if you don't know, Gundy was talking about his star running back getting popped for DUI, and he went on a bit of a diatribe answering a question about whether or not that player would be disciplined. He said, if anything, the punishment would be to give him 40 to 50 carries in the first game of the season, which would obviously benefit Oklahoma State as he's really good. And then he later said, well, look, I looked it up just for the laws in the state of Oklahoma and what his blood alcohol level was, and it's based on body weight, and it looks to me like that would be 3 beers, maybe 4. And then he went on to say, that's something I've done thousands of times. So, I would imagine a university president hearing his head coach on Big 12 media days admit to drinking and driving 1,000 times is not ideal. It's probably not what that president would want to hear or that athletic director would want to hear, but it's certainly something that Mike Gundy felt comfortable saying because, again, I think that would reveal job status and one that he is very secure in, seemingly no matter what he says. And Mike Gundy has stepped in it many times, has actually in some cases said way worse than this on many occasions, and nothing's ever happened. You talk about the power of winning football games, Tom, the power of galvanizing a fan base, an alumni base, and a booster base to the point where they say, we're never going to do any better. I don't care if he does his press conferences shirtless and spins in circles after every answer. I don't care. He's our guy. You're going to keep him. That's where we're at. And this makes up the grand, male soap opera in some ways that is college football. The cast of characters, whether it be the lunacy of every single Texas A&M fan, seemingly, whether it be Mike Gundy himself, whether it be characters of the past, of which, by the way, we've seemingly lost many, right? Over the years, I used to talk about the thing that made college football different from pro football was that there were characters as head coaches. They took on greater prominence than they did in the NFL. Certainly, you think back to an era like Bobby Bowden and Steve Spurrier, characters of the game. Before we knew Joe Paterno ignored child rape, Joe Paterno, a character of the game. Later on, we just figured a terrible felon. But you go on through all of these things, and it is sort of fascinating. Gundy's the last of those, and I'm not praising him. I'm just pointing out we're having these conversations again, which means that college football is nearly upon us. It's the Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Tallahassee is full of rich history and traditions. When you think of things that jump out in the minds of longtime residents, the state capitol, McClay Gardens, the Springtime Tallahassee Parade, FSU and FAMU Sports, the St. Mark's Lighthouse, St. George Island, and Paul's Termite and Pest Control. Paul's has been protecting thousands of people, their pets, their homes, and their lawns in the capital region for over 50 years. Locally founded and still locally owned and operated. There aren't many businesses in our industry that keep it together that long. Paul's Pest Control has many customers we've been honored to serve for over the last 50 years. We've experienced tremendous changes in how we treat homes and protect the people that live there. We've moved from liquid termite treatments that require drilling into the home's foundation to Centricon, a baiting system which works with their natural biology. We've moved from interior service to exterior treatments for general pests. But one thing we're not going to change is our old-fashioned commitment to personal service for each of our customers, the same way we've been doing it for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites, any other pests, and a greener lawn, too.
Call Paul's.
We'll get them all.
I'm attorney Tony Fusco with Basic Brooks Law Offices, and we believe you. Now, what does that mean? Over and over, we hear from the people we represent that when they shared their story of how they were injured, either law enforcement, insurance companies, or business owners didn't believe them. That's why you need an attorney that has your back, no matter what. An attorney who starts by believing you're telling the truth. We are Basic Brooks, and we believe you. Let's talk. 850-777-7777.
This is Shannon Young with Fairway Independent Mortgage Corporation. Investors, are you looking for a creative way to purchase your next rental property? Are you looking to get into the Airbnb space? If so, you need to know about DSCR loans. It stands for Debt Service Coverage Ratio. These are loans that do not require traditional income verification. As long as the proposed rent covers the mortgage payment on the subject property, that's the only income you need. If you're looking at investing and don't know if you can qualify, let's set up a plan to get your next income producing property and start putting you on a path to passive income. Give me a call at 954-369-6171. And don't forget, every fellow Knoll that we close a loan for, I will personally make a donation of $250 to the Battle's End. It's Shannon Young at 954-369-6171.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 373030.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martín, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martín, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martín also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martín the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martín and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of .com Multimedia Network. Check out warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Nothing like a little freeze up, but you guys know we're on it. We're good to go. No panic over here. No panic over here during the freeze up. Good to go. I saw something there that you had posted during the break, Tom. Let me bring it to the masses so that they know where to find it. We have a Ask Me Anything going on, huh? With Lawrence Toafili. That's great. That is good.
That is for the Warchant subscribers, warchant.com subscribers, available on the Tribal Council. We're going to roll out a couple of those on the TC, and then we're going to move them up to the Renegade Room as the season draws nearer for those that want to go to the ad-free / bonus Warchant Gold platform. So looking forward to Lawrence's responses, but right now it's about getting your questions for somebody who Mike Norvell has said that we know what we have in Lawrence Toafili, and the way that they dealt with his snap count in the showcase and the way they worked him in the spring tells you that they want to save up every bit of what he can bring to the table as one of FSU's 2 featured backs. That's what he figures to be this fall.
Yeah, I think that's a smart way of going about spring practices. That's a smart way of going about entering a season. You don't need to further showcase and exploit certain talents or test certain talents that have proven across the board what they're capable of already in actual football games against elite competition. You got to save those guys in such a brutal sport. You got to ensure that there's only so many hits that they're taking, and you want to lessen the unnecessary. So to me, that was smart. Toafili's a really good player. Florida State's got a lot of really good players. It was kind of part of the conversation yesterday on headlines that they may not have as much experienced front-end talent as they had a year ago going into the season. There is a constant chatter about the unknowns of this team, but it is usually kind of, I think, fallen back on this idea that, well, maybe we don't know the ceiling for this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy, but we do know that the floor of talent has been raised yet again. And I think it is a deeper team than it was a year ago, and they've been seeking that depth, and this is really kind of standard operating procedure as you turn a program around. The first thing you're able to do is finally field enough players of the 22 starters, obviously 11 on offense, 11 on defense for you to win a bunch of games, right? It starts with just, is your frontline talent, is your starting talent good enough to amass 8, 9, 10 wins? once you get there, you really are trying to stockpile that, because most of those kinds of teams, you knock on wood, stay healthy, you're able to reach your potential, but moving forward, in order to be elite and sustain any of that level of elite play, you're going to have a depth of that talent. It's got to get to where you have 44 of those good players. And then later on, maybe your roster is littered with 4 and 5 star type players. And the only difference between a starter and a non-starter is level of experience and years that they've been here. And so I do think that they have begun to reveal themselves as a deeper program, a deeper team than the one that went 13-0 a year ago. But we all know each team is unto itself annually. Injury luck changes from year to year. You do have some players that are natural-born leaders that seem to step in and fill roles that are necessary on a team, in a locker room, and on the field during the biggest moments of games that others aren't able to fulfill, even if they are able to run the same 40 time and lift the same amount of weight. So that's why every season is intriguing. It's especially true when you're bringing in a new quarterback who's played a gazillion football games, but none in the Garnet and Gold, and none with these players that he's playing with this year. And so while he may be immensely talented, and the players that I'm alluding to may also be very talented, they have not played together. Many of them haven't, in particular in the skill positions. We're talking about running back, wide receiver, quarterback. That is for sure. And that's why we're all kind of, I wonder how this will look. I wonder how this will play out. I wonder who will emerge. Will there be consistency early in the season? Will you find that this group adapts quickly, that the spring was properly utilized to where maybe the glitz and the glam wasn't there during spring football? Because it certainly wasn't. They were pedestrian in spring football, but you had a quarterback learning an offense, new receivers. You had some guys who were, as we just alluded to, in Lawrence Toafili and others, that have already proven themselves, and they weren't going to be overly utilized in spring football while that adjustment was going on. I don't know. All of it, though, I think leads to intrigue, but also enthusiasm and excitement. Like a nervous energy, because I just can't wait to see it unleashed. Could be that you end up disappointed. I'm going to bet that you don't, but I think, there's certainly potential, and that's the debate amongst Florida State fans. The ones who say 8-4 feel like, man, too many pitfalls, too much change, too many guys being asked to take a much bigger role this year than they had last for there not to be sort of bumps in the road. And then others would say, yeah, I don't know, though, man. I think that they can ride the defense while they make the adjustments on the offense, and they've got enough talent and a much bigger arm at quarterback than they had a year ago, and far more speed out on the edges than they had a year ago. So as they adjust, maybe it's week 4, week 5, week 6, that they start to hit their stride, but the defense carries the day before that. I think some of that is going to be true.
Well, a lot of it is, you could just get into the way that a defense or an offense operates. A lot of it's timing. It's playing together, an interplay between maybe two different segment groups, but they have to marry at the right time in order for something to work. Like, for example, on defense, an easy one to compare from last year to a couple seasons before. If Adam Fuller dialed up a blitz, it never got home a few years ago. And we lamented that, where there could be a safety blitz, a corner blitz, a slot corner blitz, a linebacker coming as an extra rusher. And it just seemed like it took an extra 3 steps to get near the quarterback. So the quarterback had enough time to get rid of the ball, and that drove us nuts. What's the point of the blitz would be our take in that situation. But look at last year, and their blitzes were unbelievable. Immediate impacts. Kalen DeLoach is the front man there because he was shot out of a cannon how many times during the season and made a play in the backfield. But it could have been Akeem Dent. It could have been somebody from the slot. You saw guys getting downhill, and they time those things up, and it made so much more of an impact. And that's a nuance, and that might be instinct. It might be comfort within the system. It might be comfort with some of your segment mates, but it all plays together beautifully when you guys are in sync, and you can see the impact it has. On offense, conversely, Lawrence Toafili's department, not all running backs are created equal in terms of their vision and their timing. Like, Chris Thompson is one of the great running backs at Florida State, running outside zone, stretch, whatever you want to call it. He had such a knack for patience and then explosiveness. He would wait for things to set up. It looks like there's nothing there, and then bam, he's 20 yards downfield because he understood the timing of what we were trying to do on offense and what the offensive line responsibilities were. with Benson, it seemed out of sync at times. And it did not just last year, but it did the year before. Think about the bowl game against Oklahoma. It's a great example where Trayshawn Ward was more the number one for the first half of the season. He gets hurt. Benson takes over, and Benson doesn't look back until you play in Orlando in whatever the hell the bowl is called, the
Champion World, whatever it was,
Champion World, Trayshawn saved the day that game because he was in rhythm with what we were doing much better than Trey Benson was. Toafili does seem to have that timing down. I'm not saying he's going to be better than Benson because, the combine will judge him not to be. The NFL draft will judge him not to be. But there is something to be said for that nuance. And while it could be disappointing, you're right. If we knew what was going to happen, there wouldn't be the drama. There wouldn't be this excitement that you feel in July. I think Lawrence has something for the scheme that we have, the way we block it up. And so I'm interested to see if he gets more cracks at it between the tackles, what those results might look like.
I'm excited for Lawrence Toafili to have his best season. He's been a guy who's worked very hard on developing his game, adding size, which he needed to do. A lot of people have heard me say that I've preferred other running backs much of the time that he's been here, and that's true. I don't shy away from that. I preferred Trey Benson. I preferred other running backs to Lawrence Toafili. Not that I ever ignored Lawrence Toafili's skill set. I immediately praised him early on in his career for A, his speed, and B, his ability to catch the football out of the backfield, which is a huge element of his game. And the fact that versatility exists was always appreciated. But I think you're right. There's a chance that Toafili, the runner, will be better utilized this year because he's finally in a position, I think, to put it all together. He has the acumen. He's got the added size and strength to go with the versatility as a weapon out of the backfield receiving the football. I hope that's right. I love guys that are program guys that have been hard workers, that have been recruited, that came up and they trusted the vision. They hung in there. They became good locker room guys. They were productive all along the way. And then that culminates with one, great season towards the end of their career at Florida State. That's kind of old school. It's the way it used to be. You don't see it as much anymore. He could be one of those guys. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
The 2024-2025 school year is right around the corner, and Leon County school officials are reminding parents to make sure the children are up to date on their vaccines. Leon County is offering free vaccine clinics to students over the next month to get their vaccinations and booster shot records updated before the upcoming school year. One free vaccine clinic is scheduled to take place at the Leon County Health Department. Vaughn Community Health Center, the Neighborhood Medical Center, and CDR Health Clinics are also offering vaccine clinics. School districts across Florida require certain vaccinations or booster shots to start a new school year unless a religious exemption is filed. If parents are deciding to opt out, they'd have to go through the Leon County Health Department to get an exemption. Balloon releases happen all across the country as a way to remember the loss of a loved one, but that form of remembrance is now banned in Florida. The reason being, balloons are one of the 5 deadliest plastics in the ocean. Anyone caught releasing balloons could be given a littering ticket. This is Rachel Lene with your Old Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at McLemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon with thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 92. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected again tonight. Slight chance of thunderstorms. Lows around 75. High of 93 tomorrow. Slight chance for storms. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Currently 91.
Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good. Get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right. Get a new roof, get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller, Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. That's MillerSeptic.com. There is no Bigfoot, Eddie. Would you stop with that nonsense?
There's a Bigfoot, Jeff.
I wish there were. By the way, I don't want you to point to me as the guy that takes all the fun out of the room. I wish there was the Loch Ness Monster. I wish there was the Bigfoot. I wish there was the Chupacabra. All the things.
They're all mythical except for the Bigfoot. The Sasquatch.
The Bigfoot?
The Bigfoot. There's big feet. There's lots of them.
So like different breeds, like different kinds
there's
of.
there's like families. There's different families, and
so there's if they're in the snow, you call them a Sasquatch
or the Yeti, right?
Yep,
and then here in Florida, that's a skunk ape. And
never heard that one. By the way, why do you think it's real? We would have found them by now.
They're the hide and seek champions of the world. Nobody finds the Bigfoot.
I think you believe in Bigfoot.
I do believe in Bigfoot.
You don't believe.
I believe in Bigfoot.
Don't tell anybody you believe in Bigfoot.
I would go look for Bigfoot, but he scares me.
Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show of the Warchant.com multimedia network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
All right, let's I do think we have, I believe. Maybe no, don't have yet. I didn't check with Todd before we came back from break. I should always do that.
So I can do it a different way. I know we're looking to get audio. I'm rendering it now. So this is what we do behind the scenes. I'm rendering it right now on a different computer. I could just link to our YouTube page and hope that we don't get hit with a mid-roll. I could do it that way if you want, and that would be ready in just a moment.
You could wait. We could do all the sound we want in hour number 2, buddy. We could have it all put together, and you could say, hey, here are 3 guys all in a row. Let's listen to them and then talk about it and not get popped. I'm fine with it. There's so much to talk about. I don't really care if we play this audio right here or not.
Fair enough. Just let me know what other 2 you want. We'll get working. This takes time behind the scenes, so just let me know.
I'm so accustomed to YouTube. I was just like, pull up the YouTube clip and play it.
I mean, I can do that if you'd prefer me to go that way. I just got to make sure we dodge the ads.
I'm impressed with all those guys. I think it's probably unfair of me to exclude some of them. I know you and I are both really high on Elijah Moore, and he impressed today. So there was it's confirmation bias. We already liked him. We think physically he's going to be a star. You look at 6'4", the way he uses his body on contested catches, his overall route running at his age, the size, the willingness to block, to do all those things. Turns out he's charismatic, interesting, smart, all those things. You're like, okay, all right, let's just keep adding to the ledger of reasons that I think you're going to be a star here, maybe sooner rather than later. And one thing I do love, much the way I do love recruiting the trenches and hearing about offensive and defensive linemen that say yes of the 4- and 5-star variety to Florida State, I also love when big body receivers say yes. It's a modern game with a bunch of hybrid corners and safeties, all of whom are capable of running despite being lengthy and rangy at 6'1", 6'2". If you got a 6'4", 6'5" wide receiver with hops who high balls is able to high point the football, then, look, man, you've got a distinct advantage. The more of those guys you find and get to say yes, the better off you are. They're really hard to find. They're also very, very expensive. So you've got to try to find them in recruiting in the high school ranks for the most part. Keon Coleman was the exception, not the rule. So Elijah Moore, just like Akeem Williams, excited me, right? That is why I got really excited. Give me 3 or 4 of those guys. 3 or 4 of those guys, maybe not every cycle, but yeah, that's the yeses that I want to hear from, especially when they're smart, because that gives them an opportunity. These players that come in who are not early enrollees are a little behind the 8 ball, and you want to know how quickly is this guy going to be able to pick up on things? How quickly is he going to be able to adjust and get along in the locker room and become part of? Sounds like Elijah has just hit the ground running, and that's a reason to be very, very excited, because he could end up contributing. You can't expect it out of a freshman, but you can hope for it.
Well, and you could, at different position groups, there are different expectations. If Elijah Moore was a 290-pound defensive tackle, not even Timmy Jernigan was a starter in his true freshman season. Not even Eddie Goldman. They rotated in and they played a fair amount, and they were the freaks of the freaks. In this particular circumstance with a skill position player, if you give me 10 snaps a game, you can have a tremendous impact within those 10 snaps, be it red zone, be it we're going 4 wide because we want to offer a different wrinkle on drive 3 of the game. But a receiver or even a running back who are naturally gifted and bring you something different that you don't already have. can make a huge impact with, again, just a couple handfuls of snaps a game. Now, I'm of the mind that maybe by the end of the year he plays more than that. It's just there's so much refinement to what he brings to the table, both physically speaking, but then we'll play the audio later. Just mentally, he is attuned to what is required of him at this level. He understands it's going to be a much larger challenge. He won't be able to just rely on natural skills to dominate. He's going to have to get into the finer details of how to run routes. He's going to have to hit the gym and get stronger. He even said during his interview that, Coach Storms wants him to get to a certain weight eventually, and he wants to get there now. But it's a slow burn, man. You got to grow into a 215, a 220 pound frame.
Well, there are vitamin supplements, Tom. And
there are.
And things that winners who really care deeply can invest in. Bama table is filled with guys like that. So who knows? Let's not shortchange him. My man may get to 215 a lot sooner than you realize.
Well, 215's okay for this year, but he wants to get 220, 225. It's hey man, we want you to be able to play fast at your 6'4" size. We want you to be able to be explosive at that size. And again, he doesn't have to be your starter. He doesn't even have to be your third or your fourth guy in the rotation. But if he can give you 15 snaps a game, especially against an opponent where you can take advantage of multiple wide receiver sets, you're going to feel that impact. You're going to see that impact. And he's got a real chance because his skill set is a little bit different than what we have on campus. If he arrived last year as a true freshman with Keon Coleman and Johnny Wilson, he wouldn't see the field nearly as much as he has a chance to this year with what Florida State has at the position group.
I'll tell you something, and I think about it every year when new guys come in, and I guess I reflect on it more now, again, that I'm older and have kids of my own and recognize the challenges that every young person faces. That's generationally, it's true. You're just figuring out who you are. You're figuring out, what you can and can't do athletically, from a maturity standpoint, socially, all these things. And I also think back to the first time I ever flew up. I was scared to death when I got to Johnson City because it's just the unknown, and you just I didn't I was changing positions, all of that stuff. You come in as a recruit, and you are saucer-eyed. You don't know what to do or what to say or where to go and how to be, and yet you're trying to exude confidence, but you don't have any. Now I wasn't a 5-star elite prospect the way that many of these guys are, who have always kind of just dominated in whatever they did athletically. But I still think being away from home for the first time is being away from home for the first time, and trying to figure things out is tough to do. My point would be that anytime I hear somebody who seems to have been or is at ease to the level that Elijah Moore and all these kids were today, I really, really admire it. I think it speaks to a maturity level, to a almost a world view and an understanding that really was not something I could capture at their age. I wasn't close to that, and I admire it. I do. We keep hearing from these new guys. Now, some of these guys, are transfers, and so you have a kid coming from Harvard who's a grown-ass man and educated and everything else, but others. And it's the first time really being away, and you realize that is an incredible. There's a lot of, I think there's a lot of maturity, but also self-awareness. A lot of self-awareness when you hear young men speak, as some of these guys did today. You just think, wow, man, you know what's expected. You know the challenges. You understand who you are and how you fit in, and what your next step is. I was clueless. I just admire it. I think it's pretty cool. It's something to think about when you're listening to these interviews.
Well,
for everybody.
It's part of the evolution of the sport, but then the evolution of the prospect as well is when the money's there, and it's on the up and up, the opportunity to earn before you even garner a professional contract. It almost forces you to grow to a certain level.
Yeah.
Now there were prospects in the 90s and the 80s and all time. There have been prospects coming out of high school who were adjusted. I'm not saying that is solely because of NIL, but I mean, I think that happens a little bit more frequently because you can make not generational money, but you can make life-changing money within a year or two of stepping on campus if you handle your business in high school. Like, think about that math that you could do when you're 16 years old. And if you have those types of skills, that type of DNA that allows you to be that much of a freak. And I'm in calculus, pre-calculus class. I'm in biology class or whatever. That's all wonderful. I need to get to the gym today. I need to get with my speed coach today because I have a chance, not this pipe dream about I'm going to be playing for the Buccaneers or the Falcons or whoever. I could make money at Florida State. I could make money at Ohio State. Like, in 24 months, I could be 6-figure strong. Like, that's some math that I can't imagine what that's like to do in your brain.
I think too, now that is, things change over time, and there were no 7-on-7 camps, and there were none of those things existed back in the day. And so, I think it's been sped up. You're right. And guys are required now to figure it out in order to cash in. It's still hard to do because, if you're 16, 17, 18, you're still 16, 17, or 18. You may have greater guidance. You may have more people involved. This is one of the reasons that we have the conversation that we do all the time about kids have to learn very quickly, and you just hope that they have, whether it's a coach or a teacher or certainly a parent that is in their corner, that has their best interest in mind, that is not worried about themselves or their interests for the young man, but rather what the young man needs. And because you can get so taken advantage of in this era with NIL. I hear it from high school coaches. They're talking about the predatory nature of some of the people that inject themselves into the lives of very talented high school players, knowing that they can serve a role and somehow leading that kid to the money, a percentage of which they want, and then manipulating emotionally kids that are by definition immature. And if you have people that don't understand the game and don't understand how this is working, and you're not dealing with a reputable collective and all those things, you could end up really ruining the next 2 or 3 years of your playing days. And really that's all you have is to try to make an impact financially, is what you're talking about, is in these first few years as you're spoken of as and highly touted in that manner. You don't have much time. You've got to do the right things now to set yourself up.
Yeah, agreed. And it's forced growth. And then as it materializes here, again, it's just wild to think that in about 2 weeks' time, we'll be watching Elijah Moore take his first reps in a camp. And in 2 weeks' time, you'll be watching how Mekhi Danzy fits into an extremely crowded running back room with that track speed. What was cool about him and what I like about what he had to say is that he set personal records at state. Man, that tells me that when the pressure's on, you can be trusted.
He elevated, the adrenaline, used it to his advantage. He's also a kid who said that he'd be, in time, willing to work at maybe playing wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
That right now he wants to learn the running back position here, and he should. That's what he's recruited as. But with that speed, man, to properly utilize all of that or put yourself in a position to garner more playing time, it would be wise to figure out wide receiver because that guy can fly.
And you've got two excellent people to learn from this year. Number one, Lawrence Toafili, because he's more running back than receiver. But then Jalen Lucas coming in for a year. And just watch what they do with him on offense. Between those two players, they're a little bit different Swiss Army knives, but they're Swiss Army knives nonetheless. And you can find your role maybe somewhere in the middle as a track star. Yeah, that's something that'll be impressive to watch again when the threes hit the field for certain reps in spring in fall camp. Now you keep your eyes on the field because the floor of talent has been raised, and these guys could be contributors. If you have a game like Pitt, where the running back room is eviscerated with injury, and you need Mekhi for 6 carries. Oh, I mean, you're not in a bad position. That kid can fly, and you can put him in advantageous situations, especially if he learns how to run routes where you isolate him against a linebacker or a safety, and who knows what he could provide. And then Rizzy, man, I'm excited to watch him because, no disrespect, I hope he has an excellent year, but poor David Stickle was going against the ones very often last year.
Wearing it.
He was wearing it for the greater good of the football program. And if we bring
64, we will never forget you. 64.
We should have had a chance to get 64 ring last year. That's who I'm mad for. That's with the Invitational. We should have had a chance to get for all those reps that kid took with the ones in practice and just had to wear it against Braden Fisk and love it. And Daryl would line up there even though he wasn't eligible last year. My God. But now that you have another kid that's working in earnest at center, and so is TJ Ferguson, okay, man. Anytime the first team's not on the field, it's still interesting.
The ancillary benefit of raising the floor of talent selfishly might just mean that I could pay attention to an entire practice, including special teams. How about that, Tom? Normally I walk my ass over into Hauser and just gaze upon the glory of the freshly shorn outfield. This might be a day where I say, no, I'm going to continue to watch these special teams reps because there's real speed and talent out there, guys. I want to see who's next on the horizon. I want to watch that shiftiness and see how it could be utilized elsewhere. Currently, I can't do it. We spend all that time with these special teams blocking exercises, and I go, all right, I'm going to go make a phone call. Let me know when they start doing some things around here. I can't do this anymore. I do it each practice. But, hey, maybe with this speed, this depth, this talent, maybe on the verge of happening. It's Jeff Cameron Show 93.3. Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. We'll come back with some of that audio we were referencing, teasing a little bit this hour. We will hear from Elijah Moore, maybe others as well. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant.
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Lika Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Lika Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Lika Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLikaLawFirm.com. Hyson Lika Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
The power gets knocked out with a home backup generator. Parker Services is proud to announce that they now sell and install whole home generators. And with financing options, they can be surprisingly affordable. Never worry about the loss of power again. Invest in your family's peace of mind with a home generator from Parker Services. Give them a call today for a free quote.
Parker Services, comfort just a call away.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Hey, Greg, did you know that some cars are more prone to auto glass damage than others?
I did not know that.
Yeah, a Jeep windshield is flat, making it very prone to damage. Nissan Rogues are popular. Toyotas, Subarus are always in my shop because they get damaged frequently and they require recalibration.
So you guys see a lot of SUVs.
Yeah, I guess the angle of the glass has a lot to do with it.
But it's not like you can avoid a rock no matter what you're driving.
Exactly. So just go to SeminoleAutoglass.com and let us take care of everything for you.
So how often do you see a DeLorean?
From time to time.
Oh.
Better call Seminole.
The weather is unpredictable and can cause issues around your home. Weston Trawick provides commercial, residential, and industrial electrical wiring services, yearly inspections on fire alarms, portable generator sales, and so much more. With 24/7 emergency service and repair, Weston Trawick will be your calm in the storm. Give them a call at 514-0003. Weston Trawick, professional electrical services day or night. Visit online at westontrawick.com.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take-home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus, happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat-screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT. Greta, Tallahassee.
The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Baseball, good win for the Rays yesterday. They knock off the Yankees by a 5-3 score. That series is continuing today. The Rays have Zach Eflin on the mound. The right-hander's 5-5 with 4.19 ERA. Marcus Stroman will go for the Yankees 7-4 with a 3.58 ERA. The Rays and Yankees each paying out at -108 today, so it's a pick 'em. The over-under at 8 runs. The Marlins yesterday, they end up losing to the Astros by a 4-3 score. That series is changed today. Brian Hoeing is set to make the start for Miami. It is the Astros who are favored, paying out at -275. The Marlins at +225. For the latest odds all the time, visit vsin.com. I'm Matt Pauley. This has been your action update on Tallahassee's Real Talk station, Real Talk 93.3.
If you're looking to move out of your parents' place, you could really cut expenses by bundling your current renter's insurance with Progressive, which is good because your little brother has gotten really territorial. You're blood related. You'd think it would be fine to share food in the fridge. I mean, who writes their name on every individually wrapped slice of cheese, Tyler? Still, you've got to admire the commitment. So bundle your renter's and car insurance with Progressive and use the savings to help you move out and have all the cheese you want. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company coverage provided and serviced by affiliates and third-party insurers. Not available in all states.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cashback you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. Basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Games for Less, Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used games, as well as new and used consoles like Nintendo, Super Nintendo, Atari 2600, PS4, and PS5. You name it. Locally owned and operated since 1994, trade-ins are not only welcome, but Games for Less pays more for your trade-ins than the big chain stores. That's not all. Games for Less now buys and sells new and used vinyl records to boot. George loves the Beatles, by the way. Reserve all the new releases today at Games for Less, conveniently located in Walmart Supercenter Plaza on Appalachia Parkway. Hey, this is for my homeowner friends out there. You know who you are. When you get your grass cut, you're going to inspect the work, make sure it's good. Get your house painted, check around every corner and edge, make sure that's done right. Get a new roof, get eyes on those shimmering new shingles. Get your septic tank cleaned. Bet you're not popping your head down in there to take a look around. You got to trust it's done right. I'll make it easy. Go see my friend Greg Miller, Miller Septic. They're my guys. I trust them, and you can too. MillerSeptic.com. That's it. That's the commercial. That's the whole thing. Check them out. It's MillerSeptic.com.
When your AC unit decides to give up the ghost, it doesn't always pick the best time. But no matter what time, day or night, or day of the week, you can call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning. We'll be out to bring your AC unit back to life. We've been repairing and replacing heating and air conditioning systems in the North Florida and South Georgia area since 1974. So when your air conditioner stops working, call E&B Heating and Air Conditioning to the rescue.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added 50 and Strength 50 for those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Law Firm chat. Appreciate you watching there. By the way, briefly, you guys got to just see me during the break, which was actually, I can show you, I was gambling. I was. You guys guessed it in the chat, Tom. People guessed what I was doing on my cell phone. I guess it was briefly still up while we were in commercial, and the fine folks were warning me not to do anything crazy. Well, what was I going to do? What was I going to do? I'm in a studio. I had my prep over here. I've got liners and things that I got to read, just so you know. Here, I'll show you. There you go. I got my little trapper keeper of notes that I got to grab.
Your Walker Bueller?
Yeah, that's right. All right here. And make sure I get my reads in, and I thank my collaborators, advertisers, and the like the fine folks in the Heisen Legal Law Firm chat, which I'll get to momentarily. And so, yeah, I had a little time, and I placed a few bets. And you guys are always asking me about these bets with golf, in particular, Scottish Open, getting underway bright and early, Tom, tomorrow morning, buddy. And I don't know why. Normally, the week before a major, I'm a little reticent to get after certain bets because I don't know where people's heads are at before they go off to play in a major. But that's not the case this week. I got a ton of them. I've got top European, Tommy Fleetwood. Top 5 finish, Tommy Fleetwood. I got top Dane, Nikolai Højgaard. Top 20 finish, Nikolai Højgaard. Top 10, Victor Hovland. Top 10, top 5, Tommy Fleetwood. Can you guys tell I'm big on Tommy Fleetwood? Feel pretty good about Tommy Fleetwood. By the way, this is a PGA Tour event. He's never won a PGA Tour event. He's won 7 DP World Tour events, and he's won internationally all over the place because he's really good. Just for whatever reason, he's got a number of top 2 finishes in the on the PGA Tour. But if he goes ahead and wins this one, buddy, he would get credit as a PGA Tour event, and so maybe he cracks through here. I got a couple of good feelings about Thomas Dietrich to finish in the top 20. I got a little bit of Aaron Ryan in the top 20. Not surprised there. I'm sure most of you kind of maybe found something similar. And then I also have, just because you guys are always asking, Bezuidenhout to finish and make the cut in the top 20 as well. And Ann McIntyre. And then, of course, if you're not worried about getting great odds, this is a really good tournament for Xander Schauffele. Who basically came out yesterday, admitted that, yeah, please don't choose me for the Ryder Cup. He didn't say that, but he might as well have. Jeez, Xander. Yeah. What's with people not understanding the mic is live? You're having a real conversation. I know Brentley Romine. I know him. I've met him. I've talked to him. We've interviewed him millions of times on the golf show. He's a real person. You have to recognize he works for the Golf Channel. You can't just be, well, we go to these dinners. I don't want to do that. Like, oh, you are just confirming everything the Europeans have said about our team for 16 years.
That is correct. The Euros don't want to do the dinners as much either. But yes, Xander's like, just leave me alone. You know what? Just let us play golf. You know what? Just don't even send me. Yeah, I like that. That's a better idea. Originally I thought maybe I go, but I don't do public events. So we can just show up and go play. And then if we win, it's fun. But if we lose, it's not very fun. But
he complained about the team photo. He complained. It was ridiculous.
This is what golfers do. Did you see what Rory did? How he was commenting about that fateful Sunday a few weeks ago when he stormed off the property?
No, I didn't see that. I heard he said it was a great day until it wasn't. That's all I heard.
He found a way to blame Cantlay for the missed 2-footer on 16. He said he couldn't help himself. He said, well, obviously I missed my birdie putt. I thought I was going to make it. It ran about an extra foot by. Yes, so it went to 2.5 feet. You're correct. It did run 2.5 feet by. And then Patrick lined up his putt, and obviously, he can take his time. And then so after that, I lined it up and I missed. So you're going to blame that Patrick Cantlay took too long.
Well,
come on, man. Like, yes, he's a human rain delay. It's a 2.5 footer, Rory. He's not.
No. He shouldn't do it. Yeah,
that is so soft. I'm so tired of the softness.
Yeah, that's awful. But that's every golfer, man. That's the problem. You said it right before. Trey complains about golfers, and he coaches them and has made a living in the sport forever. He's like, man, no golfer blames himself for anything. It's embarrassing. Happens all the time. He's like, they always find something. The wind, an ant, you name it. There's always somebody else's fault. And yeah, not good. And you can hate Patrick Cantlay, and apparently everybody on tour does. I mean, Brooks used to complain about Patrick Cantlay daily. So it's not surprising. It is sad. I agree with you. It is sad.
It's one thing to complain about I need to stand on the tee box for 15 minutes versus I missed my 2 foot. Could you imagine if we're out there and Capital and I've got a 1 foot putt and I miss it? I'm like, well, what, you took forever on your par putt, Jeff.
Well, I would laugh at you.
How soft is that? Get the hell out of here.
I'd be like, man, there are drinks in the cart. Shut the hell up. Let's go.
It's a 1 footer, Tom. It's a 1 footer. I wouldn't even entertain it. I could have done the worm. I could have done the worm and
just dance around the whole time you're getting ready to putt.
It's a 1 footer. Make the putt.
Make the putt. Stop being an ass. That would have been awesome. Heisen Legal Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Heisen Legal Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for free consultation. No cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Heisen Legal Law Firm. Name that you can trust for justice. That's Heisen Legal Law Firm. Check them out, 813-803-0733. Visit HeisenLegalLawFirm.com. Your advocate in times of need. Offices, Tampa. See how serious those women are? They're very serious. They're surveying that paperwork. They're finding holes in the case. Cracks in the case right there. It's right there, paragraph 3, Susan. Take a look at this right here. We got a natural shot right as they were solving the case or finding the weaknesses in the argument. So we're on the always reliable Twitter that, or X as it's known now for whatever reason, that Clemson will be joining the Big Ten in about an hour, which we'll have to wait and see how that impacts us. Of course, I don't believe that. And it's fun to watch from a distance as people kind of go, what? This is crazy.
You know what I need to do, really? Because we're in the era of the eyeballs emoji. I just need to get one that I could put on the screen for us just at any time and be like eyeballs, like a fire emoji, and then the goal sign. So I could just flash that up and maybe it would make the boards. Like, oh, Jeff's sending us bat signals. It's happened. He put the emojis up on the board.
I have sent bat signals before. You guys have always been very smart. If you're a regular listener and you kind of get you learn the cadence, you get the sense of humor over time, some of the sarcasm, some of the absurdities. And then when I'm serious and when I'm not serious and everything in between, those of you who have kind of figured it out over the years have been able to decipher when I am saying something without saying something. Because I'll run into somebody like, you remember that day you were talking about da-da-da? I knew you were saying we were about to fire sorry ass so-and-so. I could tell. And there have been moments where I went, you were right. Yes, that's correct. Other times people read into something. I'm like, no, that wasn't the intention at all. I was not saying anything. I was literally just being absurd. I was not saying that at all. Okay. Do we want to hear from Elijah?
So what are you saying now? No, what are you saying now? Are you hinting that this is imminent? Are we going to the SEC? People want to know.
Oh, look at how cool that'll be. Not subtle in the slightest. I like it. We've added it to the repertoire. Yeah, let's go. It's always been my opinion that when it all shakes out, we'll end up in the SEC. There it is, Tom. Well played. Now that video will go viral with the giant eyes emoji, and it'll be perfect. Save it for when I really am sending a message, and then just like have it blinking on the screen. Yeah, just like that. There you go. You have the ability to do that. It's a good bat signal. Let's hear from Elijah Moore. We prefaced this some time ago, and we should probably at least play the audio at some point from Elijah, who, by the way, talking about Keon and Johnny and their production influencing his choice. I would assume that's big receiver type mentality, right? Big receiver. Let's this is they're making it happen over there at Florida State. Here is Elijah Moore.
That was a big part of my reasoning for picking FSU as far as offense and like seeing how their receiver style played with me being a bigger receiver. having two guys on Florida State that are thriving, that are my size and above, it kind of helped inspire me and open up a galleyway for me. You know what I'm saying? So with them going to the draft, I'm another big receiver coming in, and probably one of the biggest we have right now. So I had a big role to fill, and I can take that spot and make it mine. So they were a big inspiration for me, seeing them be successful, getting first-round draft picks, thriving in the offense with the running game and the passing game. So that's exciting for me to see. Be able for Coach Norvell to be able to do that with big receivers is changing the game. So.
Besides those guys, are there other receivers you watch and you like and kind of see yourself playing in a similar style?
Yeah, I like to watch big receivers too, but I also like to watch like route runners. So like somebody from my area is like Stephon Diggs. I like to watch Justin Jefferson. I like to watch Devontae Adams, even Keenan Allen. Like I like route running a lot, so I try to incorporate that in my game because being a big receiver, everybody expects you to just be tall, lanky, jump ball. So I got to throw something in my game that makes me different from everybody else.
I guess you really got to be a dog to want to play receiver here because there's like 20 of you guys on scholarship. So do you embrace the fact that you're going to have to be dialed in to every rep you get because it's going to be so few and far in between, or can you not think that way and will that jam you up and not let you play the best you can?
It sounds crazy, but that's exactly where I want to be. I want to be able to be pushed. I want to be able to have to work to get somewhere. I don't want anything to be handed to me. I feel like I'll get my best self if I have to work for my spot and pay attention to every rep, mental reps, outside of just being on the field. Playbook when I go home, outside of meetings, and it helped me be a better self for real. So I like that, the pushing the edge in the room.
Zach on Zoom.
Hey Elijah, what kind of impact do you think you can have within this offense in year one?
I feel like I can help the offense very much because I feel like I'm bringing that big receiver back with us losing Johnny and Keon. We got a couple guys, but as far as like height-wise goes, I'm one of the tallest, so I want to make that known to college football that I'm another big receiver that's coming in to take over the game with Mike Norvell's offense. We can run, throw, pass. We got Malik, we got Ja'Kai, we got Weezy, we got these fast guys, we got speed. That's one thing we don't have to question. So if I can hop in there with the speed and the height and the catching ability, the route running, I feel like that go for a championship.
Logan?
Elijah, you're already coming in with some good size here, but you're listed at 6'4", 200. Is there any plan for Coach Dorns with you to work on your body, any add weight, anything of that nature?
Yeah, so I'm on Game Train right now. I told him I want my weight to be like super high. He was like, it goes gradually. You're gonna learn. It's gonna come. With college, you're gonna go into your body. So we're shooting for like 215 right now for camp. Our goal is 220, but he want me to be a fast 215. So right now I'm at 207. I came in at 197. So we're moving pretty fast, but the main thing is running on my form and making sure I'm moving good at that weight. You know what I'm saying? Not just bulking up, being able to still be smooth in my routes, still be able to get out in and out my breaks. So that's the main focus for these college DBs, is being fast and big, both together.
Have you had a chance to run routes at all, like on your informal stuff with any of the corners or the DBs, and what's that been like? Do they challenge you as a freshman, or kind of what's that been like?
Yeah, so they always, when my first day came in, they were kind of nice guy to me, saying, making sure I know how to do everything, but I made sure to let them know, like, look, I was like, I'm coming in with the mindset, I want to play my first year, so when we in practice, I don't need everything from you guys. Like, I talked to AZ, I talked to C2, like, I told them guys, like, I need you guys to push me, like, because I want to dominate these other cornerbacks that we go against in the ACC and the SEC, so it's fun playing with them. I like being pushed. It brings the best out of me, so, like, I embrace that. It's like just now where I was coming from, we did a little bit of releases after weight training. We get releases here and there. We go with DJ, we go throw. Cornerbacks might be out there. We get a little bit of one-on-ones, a little bit of soft reps. It's really good for me. I think it's going to help me push me for the season.
I was going to ask you about DJ and the other quarterbacks. Obviously everybody talks about DJ's deep ball, but what have you seen from him and the quarterbacks since you've been?
I've seen a lot from DJ. I actually watched DJ all through high school and college. He actually played my high school when I was in 8th grade. So I've been watching DJ for a long time, but I just seen like him develop like throughout college football, and like being able to play with him is crazy to me because I remember being in middle school watching him play high school. So now that I'm catching passes from him, it's like I can't mess up either, you know what I'm saying? But like I think he's very talented, especially with his throw on the run and the ability to really get the ball downfield. Like with us having a lot of speed, and like me being a bigger receiver, I feel like we can take advantage of that and like we can help DJ out as far as receiver wise, making him look, you know what I'm saying.
How refined is that kid? Good Lord. He speaks as if he's 25, 26 years old and not just entering into college for the first time. That's Elijah Moore. He's 6'4", 207 pounds, according to him right now, already having added, 10 pounds, I think he said, since he's arrived. He's a quick study. He's got a good body type, not just because of the height and the length. He's a thicker kid, Tom. I think there's a chance that you see some things from him this season. And a lot of times I would certainly not put that weight or burden on a wide receiver in their freshman year. But some guys, as the kids say, are built different. And he looks a little different than most that come in here. We've seen that before. It's not unheard of at the skill positions. You see it sometimes at running back. You see it sometimes at wide receiver. You see it sometimes at defensive back and safety. There are kids who have the muscle mass and muscle density to go along with the acumen. They can be quick learners and hard workers, and you can find them on the field contributing their freshman season, their true freshman season. Sometimes in, week 2, week 3, week 4, all of a sudden you're starting to see them available for 10 to 15 snaps a game. So, it might be that he does that. They need somebody else to emerge at wide receiver. We think Benson's going to be great or very good, dependable. He's a fast receiver. I think Hakeem will be better than what people think they saw during spring. But you could use another big receiver here, and Lord knows Elijah Moore might fit that bill at 6'4" and talented, and he oozes confidence too. And I think in a good way. I mean it as in listen, if you're an elite college football player at Florida State, Clemson, Georgia, Alabama, wherever, any place that aspires to win national titles, conference titles, make the playoff, you have to have a lot of confidence. You wouldn't be here. So he's got just the right amount of self-assuredness along with a sort of a humbleness and willing to work is what it sounds like.
Yeah, agreed on all fronts. Again, this is why, when I see some of these interviews, and some of it is because of the gig, right? So we'll produce some of these interviews when kids come on campus for official visits or unofficial visits, junior days. And sometimes they catch your ear. It's not even your eye. They just catch your ear like, oh man, that kid sounds like he's 16 going on 30. He's ready for the business that is to come before him. And it really is. And it was a business before NIL. I don't want to get that twisted. Now the money is different. The bank accounts look different and it's more robust in that regard. But man, you were working a full-time job and then playing football is a full-time job. You didn't have a life. So you needed to be well-adjusted to be a part of this program, certainly under Mike Norvell, before NIL even existed. But you hear that, and then you see the huddle, and you go, oh, I see. All right. So this kid can play at such a high level that Ohio State has been on him and on him and on him and does not want to lose him. And we're able to pluck him away from a first-round wide receiver factory like Ohio State. He sounds just like Mike Norvell in terms of preparation, details, willingness to work. Man, this has a real chance because I don't see what doesn't fit at Florida State. He's got the athleticism to play here. He's got the mindset to play for the head coach here. That's why my expectations personally for this true freshman are higher because we have a need at the position, especially with his body type, and he checks all the other boxes, and it's not having to wait 2 years to be 325 pounds to be able to handle an ACC/SEC type defensive interior rush as a guard. This is a position that you can make an instant impact.
Every player that comes in with high expectations or immense talent, so maybe a kid doesn't come in with high expectations, maybe they got overlooked to some degree, maybe they were recruited just as an athlete, nobody was really sure what they could be. When they come in, I'm looking very quickly for a few things. Obviously the skill set. We're looking to see where they can fit in and how quickly they can play. But I'm also always looking for how they handle coaching and how they handle hard coaching. Mike Norvell is insistent that you have to be able to handle at times what teeters on not abuse. I would never say abuse. I mean, football is an emotional and violent game, so it's going to be emotional and violent both in language and in physicality. whether that's how you play the game or how you teach the game. There are those that take a different approach, but by and large, it is a volatile sport. And so your ability to handle that hard coaching and welcome that hard coaching is always something I'm looking for. Elevate that even more when you play the position that the head coach played. I need to know, because that guy doesn't miss anything. He's not going to miss the mistake you made in depth on that route. He's not going to miss that you've got the ball in the wrong hand after the catch, in which sideline you're on. He's not going to miss the footwork or lack thereof and the precise or lack thereofness of the route. So when I hear a kid like that who's mature beyond his years and talks about wanting to get better, bigger, stronger, all of it, tells me that he's going to handle that kind of hard coaching well. And every player that's come through here that's handled it well, that either let it roll off his back or at least listened to the important parts of what was being conveyed to them. Well, I think constructive criticism is important, and you have to be able to handle it. Not everybody is emotionally capable of it. Not everybody's used to it. We've seen some kids come through here that didn't handle it well, and after about 4 or 5 moments in practice of them not handling it, I began to get concerned. I began to think a little bit about, will this work out? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. The ones who handle it very well early on, early and often, embrace it, smile even, learn from it, handle it, make the adjustment, move on, they're the ones who get on the field. I can't make any promises. I got to go to practice and watch this kid play. We'll see what happens when the pads come on. But it seems an awful lot like a young man who's equipped to do all of those things, which is really exciting. Jeff Cameron Show 93.3, Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV. Hey, let me tell you about my friends at Tried and True Consulting, a Seminole-owned business that specializes in payments and business solutions. Tried and True's core expertise includes card, ACH, point of sale, mobile, e-commerce, and hosted payment solutions. Tried and True will help you reduce costs and increase your bottom line. That always sounds nice. Whether you're a retailer, restaurant, licensed professional, or service industry, Tried and True is saving you money. Tried and True's expertise extends to payroll, video menu ad boards, IT services, web design, and social media. It's time to make one call and tell the competition to take it on down the road. Call Don or Joe today at 844-464-6653. That's 844-464-6653. When you do business with Tried and True, they contribute 10% of the net revenue to the battle's end. So go Tried and True today. Call 844-464-6653.
This is Jay of Paul's Termite and Pest Control. There are many companies out there selling pest treatment programs at prices which seem too good to be true. Like most things, you get what you pay for. Let's separate the fact from the fiction. Fiction. The price these companies offer includes all visits needed to keep a home pest-free. Fact. Their prices only include regular visits for exterior treatments. If you encounter pests inside your home, these companies will charge you for additional visits. Is that really pest prevention? At Paul's Termite and Pest Control, we always apply exterior treatments, but our plan includes a significant difference. Whenever you encounter an interior problem, Paul's technicians are there, usually the same day you call, and there is no extra charge. With ProShield, you'll never pay extra for providing the service we promised. Pest prevention for your home, and we'll be there as many times as needed to honor our commitment with no extra charge. Paul's Termite and Pest Control is a local company that proudly served the Tallahassee area for over 50 years.
For the elimination of termites and any other pests,
call Paul's. We'll get them all.
And we make lawns greener, too.
Dream it, plan it, do it. Brian Barnard's Flooring America offers a straightforward way to shop with our streamlined shopping. Finding the right flooring is simple. Visit our newly remodeled showroom featuring the Room to Explore shopping experience, where our knowledgeable staff will walk you through the steps. Our family has been serving the area since 1976 with a local staff of more than 35 people trained in flooring sales and design. We know floors, and we know styles. Let us help make your home timeless. Brian Barnard's Flooring America, where friends send friends.
Surprising flavors, cultural authenticity, and unique adventures are some of the main ingredients that go into every single plate served at Café de Martín, Tallahassee's best Peruvian dining experience. Led by classically trained Chef Martin, passion for culture, passion for flavor, and a passion for people can be felt from the moment you step inside. Café de Martin also offers an unparalleled outdoor dining experience in the garden. Surrounded by vibrant flowers and plants and nestled between carefully curated decor, the shaded and breezy outdoor garden features elegant live music regularly, and the romantic evening lighting makes Café de Martin the best place to share conversation and connect with the ones you love. Every dish is made from scratch, and every drink is handmade by trained bartenders, offering the very best margaritas and old fashions in the city. Take a trip to a Peruvian paradise right here in the capital city. Visit Café de Martin and El Bar on Capitol Circle Northeast in the Esposito Shopping Center. Open daily for lunch, happy hour, and dinner. Find the full menu online at cafedemartin.com.
Science-backed, technology-tracked, and coach-led. Hey, Jeff Cameron here. You've heard me rave about the benefits of Orange Theory Fitness and the proven track record of science-backed interval training. Well, now Orange Theory Fitness has done it again, adding more ways for you to improve your health and look your best. In addition to the always great standard workouts, OTF has added Tread 50 and Strength 50. For those in the mood to just lift for an afternoon or attack those cardio goals for the day. Take the guesswork out of exercise. Make sure you're getting the most out of each and every workout. Orange Theory Fitness, location Midtown Tallahassee and Village Square Boulevard.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Got to give credit to our friends at Garnet and Gold. You've seen between the breaks here, if you're watching on Warchant TV, they're celebrating their 45th anniversary, the only locally owned FSU retail shop in Tallahassee. And they're our exclusive FSU apparel provider and partner. I have gone to the renovated Pensacola Street store. JB, you're in the chat right now. I met you over there. You walked out of that store with hundreds of dollars worth of gear, because that's what James B does. Anyhow, yeah, it's a great place. It's also littered with kick-ass gear. I can't go in that store if I'm not prepared to really open up the wallet, Tom. Not because it's expensive. You can get reasonably priced, beautiful gear at Garnet and Gold, but I can't, I go in there and I get after it. Can't help it. Now, it also helps that we have a nice deal and I'm a celebrity. But others, oh, man. It's just, you stock up. It's amazing.
I'm looking forward to getting down in about 3 weeks' time to go do the fall refresh, because it's when the coaches' polos are out, the new gear, the sideline gear for the season is out. I love the new designs. Under Mike Norvell, the design's been pretty good. The head coaches do have some say. And I do like the gear that they've rolled out the last couple of years. So I'm looking forward to the 2024 release. That's coming soon. And coming soon as well for Warchant subscribers is Warchant Days with Garnet and Gold. That continues, obviously. Because we're announcing an extended partnership with Garnet and Gold. They've been our partners for a long time. But 25% off headwear is coming for you Warchant.com subscribers out there. We will give you more information as we get closer to the day.
So a tradition continues, Tom. I did it during the break. I mentioned earlier in the show when the camera was on me that I was making wagers for the Scottish Open. After doing some research this morning, I didn't have time to put those wagers in until I got here at work in the commercial break. But I just did it again during the commercial break. And in order to honor what is now a time-honored tradition, I went ahead and took out a little bit of early pizza money on Utah to win the Big 12. Utah to win the Big 12. I'm going to follow it up, I think, by going with either Kansas State to finish second and or Arizona. Sneaky Arizona turning it around. And then maybe further down the list there, a little Oklahoma State, which every year finds ways under Gundy to win more games than it seems like they should. For those that don't know, this is the Big 12, the modern Big 12. Here we are. K-State, Utah, Oklahoma State, Arizona, Iowa State, West Virginia, TCU, Kansas, Texas Tech, UCF, Baylor, BYU, Colorado, Cincinnati, Houston, Arizona State. It's been a minute, right? You got to refresh your memory of who's in what freaking conference. Oh, yeah, they're not independent anymore. They're in the Big 12. Oh, they're not in the Big Ten anymore. They're not in the Pac-12 anymore. Pac-12 doesn't exist. It's the Pac-2. Where'd they go? That's right, the Big 12. They did. Where'd those other teams go? They went to the Big Ten. The ones who couldn't get in went to the Big 12. And thus the fear that every Florida State fan has and is immediately, I think, driven to some form of fear and or anxiety is the first time anybody with any seeming connection whatsoever to conference realignment says on Twitter that we're off to the Big 12. Immediately everybody goes, no, what is this nonsense? It cannot be. Well, it won't be. Don't do that. Stop being, beholden. Stop being tethered to the bastion of nonsense that is X. We're not going to the Big 12 unless they give us $1 billion a year, and then I would happily join the Big 12. We'll outspend all you sons of bitches and dominate proudly for the Big 12 with our Big 12 shirts and ugly hats, and we'll fly to places like Tulsa and say it sucks here, but we're here, and let's go kick ass in the name of the Big 12 with our billions of dollars. I'm just talking about landing spots to drive to the other Big 12 schools, not the Tulsa. Yeah,
I'm kind of fired up to join the Big 12 now. I don't know.
with that annual payout, let's bring it on, everybody. Hell, I'll join the Mountain West for the right amount of cash. I could be bought and paid for. A lot of beautiful locales in the Mountain West.
That'd be kind of cool. I mean, you'd have to. I wish they could break apart. This is something that Chip Kelly was talking about before he ran for the Hills from UCLA. But I wish you could break away and just do football in a conference that would take you all over the country and then save your athletic department money by going regional and all other sports. Maybe that's where we're going after this period of growth and decline into the Power 2, and then they're going to siphon things off. Maybe they'll regionalize it after that point. But, man, if like on the Mountain West – some of those locations that you could go to catch a ball game and the weather, that would be phenomenal.
Go see a game at Air Force. It's breathtaking. Mountains in the backdrop. Eagle comes fly. I mean, yeah, man. Wouldn't suck. It would be a lot of fun. There's a lot of that stuff, but no, obviously we're not. I don't think headed to the Big 12 anytime soon. And it was funny. I glanced during the break in the chat. I already had a talking point about this just because I had seen the same whatever it was on Twitter earlier in the day. There is a path where I'm not saying we should join the Big 12 ever, but if the Big 12, because their president, by the way, did you watch their president speak yesterday? No, stop that, Tom. You're going to have people believing we're joining the Big 12. Did you watch their president yesterday?
No, because he'll never be our president.
No, well, what I'm telling you is their president acts the way a president should act, even when they're second fiddle. Their president of that conference stands upright and tall and is bold and will say, we're going to be very aggressive and we're open for business. And that lays out a plan. He's not just like spewing rhetoric. It makes sense, right? And so this guy has been aggressive. He's followed that path. He has said, well, we're kind of screwed, but we can't stand here and take it. We got to do something about it. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to pluck that team right there. I'm going to pluck that team right there. We're going to pluck that team right there. We're going to find some future markets that may behoove us for TV deals. Let's grab that team right there. They're in a big city. Let's grab them. They kind of got a name. Let's grab them over there because they're not in the Big Ten or the SEC, and we got to fight. We got to fight for everything. Meanwhile, our commissioner, half weepy-eyed, sitting up at the dais talking about neighborhood trash collection. This is they couldn't be more polar opposite. Got to stop that. It was interesting to watch him. I don't want to go to the Big 12. We're not going to the Big 12. But if the Big 12 grabbed Florida State, North Carolina, Virginia, Clemson, Miami, and said, here's a huge deal, you'd have a weighty look at that. Look at that. Look at that pathetic ass. I'm scared. I don't know what to say. I'm just staring off in the distance. The guy from the CW's not here, and he said he'd be here. I look even more foolish than I did 5 minutes ago, if that's possible. There you go. That's Jim Phillips. I'm weighted down by the impossible. I have no vision. Make it end. Please make it all end.
He's Rorschach. Rorschach in the snow.
Do it! I'm just juxtaposing the two is all I'm saying. I watched that yesterday. I went, that guy works out. He believes in himself. He believes in the Big 12. He believes that, hey, he may be wrong. They may not have a chance in hell to do a thing. They may get just as screwed as everybody else by the Big 2, meaning the Big 10 and the SEC. But he's not going down. He's not going meekly. He is not giving in to that to the night. There's none of it. He's like, no. It's impressive. I was just like, okay, well, that's good for you, buddy. Good for you. Chef Cameron Show 93.3 Real Talk Radio Warchant TV.
Attention, Florida. Are you a victim of an auto accident? We introduce our live chat sponsor, Hyson Leaka Law Firm, dedicated to representing injured clients statewide. If you've been in an accident, call Hyson Leaka Law Firm at 813-803-0733 for a free consultation. Remember, there's no cost to you unless they win. Your interests come first with Hyson Leaka Law Firm, the name you can trust for justice. Call 813-803-0733 now or visit HysonLeakaLawFirm.com. Hyson Leaka Law Firm, your advocate in times of need.
And found smoke coming from a single-story house. They discovered a fire in the attic. All occupants had safely evacuated the home before TFD arrived. No injuries were reported at the scene. This is Rachel Lene with Real Talk 93.3 Local News Update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Cloudy skies with a few peaks of sun this afternoon, with thunderstorms likely. High temperatures reach up to 92. West winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mainly cloudy skies expected again tonight. Slight chance of thunderstorms. Lows around 75. High at 93 tomorrow. Slight chance for storms. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 88.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future. There he is. Haven't seen this guy since, what was it? Oh, shoot. U2 at the Sphere in Las Vegas, baby.
Hey, how about that, man? Wasn't that fun?
Good show. Good show. Everything about it. Nearly perfect. Nearly perfect.
I had everything I could possibly want.
I wanted one thing, couldn't find it, and I looked everywhere. No Cubans.
What do you mean?
No Cubans.
There was Cubans.
No, I didn't see any Cubans.
Dude,
no.
I'm sure there was Cubans there. I mean, you know.
No, I walked around. There was a moment right before the show. I thought, got to find some Cubans. Nothing.
Dude, there's Cubans. There was Cubans. I'm sure there was Cubans.
In Las Vegas?
In Las Vegas.
No Cubans in Vegas.
There's Cubans in Vegas, man.
Eddie, there were no Cubans.
Chef.
The sandwich. There were no Cuban sandwiches. You're Cuban. Of course I know there were Cubans there.
Oh, the sandwich. Yeah, no, there probably wasn't many there in Vegas.
No Cubans.
No, not yet.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
The Jeff Cameron Show is a production of the Warchant.com Multimedia Network. Check out Warchant.com today for the latest news inside Florida State athletics. That's Warchant.com. Now, back to Jeff on Real Talk 93.3.
Tom, let's take a look. I should say, hear from, for those listening on the radio, from Jacob Rizzy, the young man from Harvard, offensive lineman. Kind of curious for people to hear his thoughts on where he'll be playing, what positions. You never know what to expect with a guy from Harvard. Guys who come from lower divisions of football, if you will. But at the same time, you get a leg up if you're smart. and he's a big dude. So let's hear from him here, and then we'll respond to that.
Hey, good morning. So you said you played right tackle, guard, center, tackle. What have you talked with the coaches about where you might start, or is it cross-training type of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. Right now I'm taking a lot of center reps. Just being able to snap the ball is kind of the only real live thing I can practice with what we're doing. But ultimately, interior is going to be where I'm going to compete. Tackle was what I played for 2 years. I played a little guard during spring ball at my time at Harvard, but in one game my sophomore year. But ultimately, interior is what I'm going to be competing for.
The coaching staff added 2 other transfers that play the interior of the line with Rizzy, as well as TJ. For you having 2 years left, if you only had 1 year left, would that have changed the calculus you used in your head to figure out where you wanted to play college football? And I know you want to compete, and you're not going to compete to back up, but I mean, how much of a starting job is in the front of your mind this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. If I had 1 year, it wouldn't have changed anything. Hopefully I only, I have a bang-up job this year and get to go to the NFL and only use 1 year. If I have to use 2, so be it. This is a great place to be for 2 years. I like to compete. I want to win jobs. It doesn't really matter who's in front of me or who's whatever the deal is. If guys got here earlier. But the great part about Florida State's O-line room is it's very competitive, but it's a group of brothers. Everyone is like-minded in terms of wanting to win football games, and that's the best part about football. So that's another reason as to why I came here. So ultimately, I'm going to compete my tail off, and whatever happens, happens.
Yeah, there he is, and a chance to hear from Jacob Rizzy, who, again, Tom, I don't know what your expectation is. I just know that it certainly helps to hear a kid talk about taking a lot of reps at center. We've needed to find a backup center for some time. Who knows? Maybe he shocks us all and he's elite, and next thing you know, he's a starter. But I don't want to exclude the kid's opportunity. But 2 years is nice to have a kid, right? So he can continue in this weight program, kind of learn the ropes, if you will. It's certainly going to be a huge step up in terms of overall strength and team speed that he'll be facing. So it might take a year to adjust. But if he's physically gifted enough, we know he's smart enough, and I'm assuming that he's a hard worker. So there's reason to believe that maybe that's a plus to this team. You're not surprised to hear him handle a press conference well, but at the same time, I'm just nothing but curious. I have no idea what to expect about him. I don't think any of us do. It's impossible to look at the tape at Harvard and really know anything because of the level of competition they're facing. So I won't know until we get out there, and first time he goes against Farmer or Jackson, you get a real good indicator where he's at physically.
Well, if he wins any one of those reps this early, then he's going to be your starting center. I don't know that he will, but he's got the size that you would take a chance on at the very least. 6'5". I mean, it's good height for an interior offensive lineman. 300 pounds, 6'5".
Yeah,
he's an X factor for the next couple of years, and he's focusing on the interior. That's what we're going to need. Leonard and Ferguson and maybe Keandre. I forget where Keandre is in terms of his eligibility left, but you're going to lose at least 2 guys in the interior that way. Darius Washington, you're going to lose. I know he's a tackle now, but I mean, I think at a pinch, if you had a really good tackle situation, he would play interior as well. There is an exit strategy that you need to map out when Maurice Smith can't play anymore. And we've had many years to have that exit plan.
Yes.
And we've cultivated 0 options.
Yeah. What world are we living in, Tom, where Maurice Smith is not starting at center for Florida State, sir? It's been 15 years. 15 happy years my man's been at center. Good Lord. Yeah. And he has been a rugged warrior.
Is it that Maurice has to leave for us to get into a Power 2 conference? Maybe that's what it is. It's just that they're waiting. These other conferences are waiting for Maurice to exhaust his eligibility, along with Robert Scott, who's been here since 1974.
And is back.
Yeah. He's back. I'm looking through the depth chart now, and we know that Stickle had been holding it down. We joke about that, but he had been holding it down. Hang in
there, Stickle.
He helped us orchestrate a practice that didn't require, non-contact jerseys to go on. So you'd like to have something better than that as your backup center option for the season, and perhaps starting next year at that position. So This is an important role that he could potentially come in and earn. And again, Florida State listing him at 6'5", 305 pounds. We'll see what the initial roster size is when a month from now, because clearly Elijah Moore's done enough work for him to be listed differently at 207. So we'll see. But I love that size for the interior. And I'm looking right now. TJ Ferguson would be available next year as well. He's a redshirt junior. But you've got to have options at center beyond Maurice Smith. And I think you got a chance here. We'll know in a few weeks about how he handles Power 5 defensive interior.
We've been talking about it a long time, man, and it is frustrating. They haven't been able to find a center. They haven't been able to find a guy. Now, I get it. A lot of times kids that you recruit in high school, you're not necessarily recruiting specifically because they played center. A lot of those guys end up playing guard or playing somewhere else along the offensive line. That's not always the case that you go out and scout a kid and say, oh, he is a center. There are a lot of linemen that you look at and say he could play center. And then you bring him in and you hope to switch them around and get them cross-trained, as you said, but they've got to find a way to do this sooner rather than later. By the way, my friends at Tried and True Consulting are looking for businesses that are actively looking to utilize wall space or if you have an existing television and want to generate revenue. Don and Joe, my guys, the Tried and True ad program will give you the much-needed boost and exposure your company and services for people that you're reaching out to in that waiting room on a regular basis need, whether you have the space or you want to sell more businesses, you can do that. You can certainly do that with the Tried and True program, ad board program. Go ahead and get it. And before we end, there it is, Tried and True Consulting. You can scan for more information with the QR code there. I mention them a lot because they're great to do business with, and they're having success. They have found their way into the Tallahassee market. I just found about another business that signed on with Tried and True because of the offer. Knowles helping Knowles, and 10% of their net revenue going to the Battle's End, buddy. The Battle's End, which had a huge plus this week when the announcement that Luke Clanton, again, is coming back and will be proudly sporting that Battle's End patch. Wouldn't it be cool if that kid comes back and they do win the national title? Think of all the money that he's eschewing and deciding to come back and said, look, it's a simple thing. I want to win a national title. That's it. That's all. It'd be pretty awesome. As he was asked about it repeatedly, he seems pretty hell-bent on making sure he's back here for a final season. Saw where Trey Jones, even though he's on vacation overseas in Europe, was retweeting the young man and hearting all of his comments. So I guess he will be back after all. And you can finish in the top 10 on the PGA Tour in consecutive weeks. You'd like to think we might be back in the same position we were in a year ago, or this most recently in the loss to Auburn. I'm rooting for it.
Yeah, of all the things that's happened over the summer, there's a lot of runs at national championships, or College World Series versus a college golf national championship. I'm always in on the beach volleyball. I know our tennis program won the ACC for the first time and made it. Did they make it as far as the Elite Eight? I think that's Sweet 16 or Elite Eight. So you're watching all of these things, and they come and they go, but the golf one hasn't left me yet. That one still stings. That one hurts. Felt like we were going to win the Natty this year, buddy. And when you consider last year that we had a real chance as well, I mean, Trey has been on the precipice a couple of times here in the last two seasons. And if Luke can get that job done, there might be a lot of you in the chat right now that say, don't care. I do. I would love a golf national championship. I would love to see that.
I've wanted it for a while. Say goodbye, chat. It's been fun. We're going to do probables today. I don't want to exclude probables anymore. Get down to the All-Star break. It's coming up. So it's been good. It's been good. Have fun.